Christopher Bell has appeared to spill the beans, confirming that Chase Briscoe will be arriving at Joe Gibbs Racing to replace Martin Truex Jr. after he announced his retirement earlier this season. Before we get to this, I'd like to ask you please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so you don't miss any of our future videos here at John Trent Racing. Before we get to what Bell actually had to say, let's go back to, about a week ago. Bob Pockris reported that as Jordan Bianchi reported, Truex retirement effective end of the year is expected to be announced tomorrow. Chase Briscoe remains top candidate to replace him. Briscoe actually spoke to Bob Pockris about the possibility of replacing Martin Truex Jr. at Joe Gibbs Racing. Here's what he had to say ahead of the race last week. Let's take a listen.
I'm working on it. Yeah, definitely working on it. Hopefully, can figure something out here soon. But yeah, definitely working on it. I feel like I'm pretty close. I think so. Yeah, nothing to announce yet, but definitely working on it. Feel pretty good about it.
I mean, a lot of the polls is like potentially candidate could fill in replace Truex.
Yeah.
Gibbs. In weighing any options, I mean, obviously you've been with Ford for a long time, so kind of like what goes into weighing.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different options, right? Like, performance is one thing that definitely weighing the options is something that is important. The future and what the future looks like. And then obviously the other part is, what's going to be the best to provide for my family. Twins on the way. I'm going to have 3 kids. Like that is a real thought now. It's just what's going to set us up for the future the best way. And, probably in the past it would have not been as important to me. But now with a family and being a dad and, there's a lot of just variables that go into that. And also I would say the culture is something that's important to me and where I feel like I fit into the culture. And yeah, there's a lot of different variables. I think when you look at the full picture of just what your weekly schedule looks like, things like that. And I mean, as crazy as it sounds, even all the way down to where we fly out of. Like I don't live where everybody else lives. I'm a ways away from everything. So there's a lot of different variables that go into the decision making process, and just got to figure that out and honestly pray about it too, and just figure out kind of which one makes the most sense.
One of the variables would be potentially the ability to do other racing. Is that how big a deal is that?
I don't know. I mean, I enjoy it. I do think that
So that is what Chase Briscoe had to say when he was asked about potentially replacing Martin Truex Jr. Here is what Christopher Bell said. He kind of spills the beans here and says that Chase will be joining the team. He immediately catches himself and struggles to continue the interview. Well, let's take a listen.
I don't think that there really is a leadership role in that aspect. And whenever Chase comes into the car, whenever we have a new driver,
So there you go. Basically saying that Chase is arriving at Joe Gibbs Racing, immediately catches himself, gives a sheepish grin over there to probably his Joe Gibbs Racing press person, and then tries to continue and is unable to do so, but eventually is able to say when a new driver comes in and gets in. But it does look like Chase Briscoe will be joining Joe Gibbs Racing now, seemingly confirmed here by Christopher Bell. What do you guys make of Chase Briscoe joining Joe Gibbs Racing? Obviously, he will be exiting Stewart-Haas Racing at the end of the year. They are shutting down. We did have a report, I think earlier this week, that Gene Haas will be continuing with one of the NASCAR Cup Series charters in the Haas factory team, and will also be fielding 2 NASCAR Xfinity Series teams as well. So no word on who will be driving for that team or whether or not they will be staying with Ford. But it does look like Chase Briscoe will be joining Joe Gibbs Racing. We'll see if he performs any better. I do feel like he has kind of underperformed at Stewart-Haas Racing. Definitely the driver who was kind of leading the charge there was Kevin Harvick. And even if you're looking at kind of what's happening this year, that number 4 car does seem to still be the best car out there with Josh Berry driving it. And then obviously Noah Gragson also seems to be performing better than Briscoe as well. So we'll see if he gets in that Joe Gibbs Racing equipment, if he will be able to perform better than what he did at Stewart-Haas Racing and will be a top contender. Obviously, Martin Truex Jr. is going to be someone who is going to be tough to replace, a former NASCAR Cup Series champion. He's also in the hunt this year for that championship. We'll see if he's able to go out on top. But I definitely feel like bringing in Briscoe isn't he's just not as a quality driver as Martin Truex is, at least right now. Yeah, the results, in my opinion, just do not show that. But maybe he will prove me wrong. Maybe being critical of him will give him motivation to do better. And when he does join Joe Gibbs Racing, he goes out there and he sets the world on fire. That's definitely a possibility. But let me know what you guys make of this. What do you think about Chase Briscoe joining Joe Gibbs Racing? Let me know in the comments below.